Special Counsel Jack Smith plans to resign and drop the federal felony indictments against the president-elect in cases pertaining to stealing and withholding top-secret classified intel and conspiring to overthrow the peaceful transfer of power in 2021. And yet, in 64 days, a convicted felon will still move into the White House. Donald Trump's felony convictions in New York State still stand for now. His lawyers will try to persuade a judge there to throw those charges out, perhaps vacate sentencing or transfer the case to federal court. What happens next there? No one knows. That chapter of history hasn't been written yet. But let's check the record. It was 51 years ago today an American president uttered 5 words that would ultimately define his legacy. The phrase, now something of an ironic punchline. At the time, Richard Nixon was fighting in court to keep the damning truth about America's acts in Vietnam from the public eye. He had conspired against the press, illegally spied on reporters, targeted journalists in federal investigations, and compiled some of their names on an enemies list. All of those actions pointing toward a more central motive, that a politician understands the way things seem can often be just as, if not more important than the way things are. That's why Richard Nixon was so obsessed with the way the public perceived him, and likely why he felt compelled to say this.
And I want to say this to the television audience. I made my mistakes, but in all of my years of public life, I have never profited from public service. I've earned every cent. And in all of my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice. And I think, too, that I can say that in my years of public life, that I welcome this kind of examination, because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
Those words, well, I'm not a crook, would echo around Nixon's legacy in the pages of history. Nixon was reeling, grasping for control of the narrative after those damning details about his posh lifestyle were starting to become part of the record. 6 months later, Nixon announced he would pay back more than $400,000 in back taxes after listing expenses on an ice maker, a heater for a swimming pool, club chairs, a sofa, and other pillows under the category of protection. Bernstein and Woodward would write in their book, All the President's Men, that the investigations into the president made him into a, quote, prisoner in his own house, secretive, distrustful, combative, and sleepless. Of course, those investigations were led by Democrats who controlled Congress at the time, and there's right now little reason to believe a GOP-led Congress would have any kind of appetite to investigate the incoming president in their own party. Now, this time next week, we might know a bit more about what potential criminal consequences our incoming president might face in his home state in court.